Hello and welcome back to World 360. Two countries who have been bitter regional foes for years, having downgraded diplomatic relations in 2010 and then recalling their ambassadors in 2018, are trying to rebuild their relationship now and open up a new chapter. I'm talking about Turkey and Israel. As you may have guessed, the two countries have strained relations, mainly over the Palestinian issue. However, Israel's Foreign Minister Yair Lapid said Wednesday that his country is opening a new chapter in relations with Ankara. This was after meeting with his Turkish counterpart, Mevlut Cavusoglu, in Jerusalem. The Turkish foreign minister embarked on the first official visit to Israel this week, a first by any Turkish official in 15 years. He even prayed at the Al-Aqsa mosque in East Jerusalem, a site of recent unrest between Israeli forces and Palestinian civilians during the month of Ramadan. The Turkish foreign minister's visit to Israel is just one of the many attempts at re-approachment between the two countries in recent months. In March, Israeli President Isaac Herzog visited Ankara, the first diplomatic visit of such a rank in more than a decade. It's also important to mention the change in rhetoric coming from Turkey. During his visit to Israel this week, the Turkish foreign minister went as far as to say that normalization of ties between Turkey and Israel would help bring peace to Israelis and Palestinians. This is quite a different tone than the one adopted by Turkish President Erdogan in the past. You may remember that in May 2021, there was a major outbreak of violence between Israel and the Hamas terror group. During that time, Erdogan, a vocal critic of Israel's policies towards the Palestinians, made some scathing remarks against Israelis. During a televised speech on 17th May 2021, he said he had spoken to a Jewish prime minister during a past visit, who told him it was the greatest pleasure to kill Palestinians when the unnamed official served as a general in the Israel Defense Forces. This is part of their nature, and they are only satisfied by sucking blood, said Erdogan. This didn't sit well with the White House, who referred to Erdogan's remarks as anti-Semitic. We urge President Erdogan and other Turkish leaders to refrain from incendiary remarks which could incite further violence. Anti-Semitic language has no place anywhere. The United States is deeply committed to combating anti-Semitism in all of its forms, said US State Department spokesperson Ned Price. However, the Turkish foreign minister's warm welcome from his Israeli counterpart this week indicates that the two countries may be on a path of reconciliation. In fact, Israeli Foreign Minister Yair Lapid has acknowledged the immense strain in ties over the years between the two countries, but also reminded that Turkey was the first Muslim nation to recognize Israel back in 1949. But despite this fact and briefly being strategic partners between the late 1990s and early 2000s, the deterioration of ties between Turkey and Israel is significant. Some say one particular incident in 2010 is what really changed the equation. On 31st May 2010, Israeli commandos killed 10 Turkish activists aboard the Turkish-owned Mavi Marmara ship. The ship was attempting to breach the blockade of the Gaza Strip imposed by Israel when Hamas seized control of the territory in 2007. After the incident, Turkey downgraded diplomatic relations with Israel. Turkey even recalled its ambassador in 2018 after the US, under the Trump administration, recognized Jerusalem as Israel's capital. The two countries have not reappointed their ambassadors as yet, but doing so was a topic of discussion during the Turkish foreign minister's recent visit to Israel. Now, these two countries have also been on opposite ends of regional influence in the Middle East, especially after the 2011 Arab Springs. A report published in Lawfare, an American blog published by the Lawfare Institute in cooperation with Brookings Institution, explains how Israel, who considers Iran an enemy, has increasingly aligned itself with the counter-revolutionary bloc, or the CRB. Now, the CRB includes Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Bahrain, and many others who tried to quell the wave of protests under the Arab Springs in 2011. You may remember that these countries and Israel signed the Abraham Accords in August 2020. Now, CRB is opposed to the other two regional alliances. The first being the bloc represented by Qatar and Turkey, and the other is of Iran and its regional partners. Turkey hasn't had the best relationship with the CRB. It has supported the Islamic militant group Hamas and the Muslim Brotherhood and its regional offshoots. It also stood by Qatar during its diplomatic crisis against the Saudi Arabia Axis in 2017, and many more. So why is Turkey engaging in all this outreach to Israel? One theory is that Turkey could help Europe reduce its reliance on Russia for gas and energy. The main topic of discussion between the Turkish foreign minister and his Israeli counterpart during the latest visit was reportedly to set up a possible gas pipeline between the two countries, and that could also be rerouted to the rest of Europe. Keep in mind that Israel has a decent supply of natural gas. The other theory is that Erdogan is trying to strengthen ties with other countries in the region, such as Egypt, the Emirates, and now Israel, to help pull his country out of the severe economic crisis it is currently experiencing. Inflation is at a high in Turkey. The central bank refuses to cut interest rates, and recently the Turkish lira, which has already been performing badly since last year, slipped as much as 1.5% earlier this week. This is the lira's weakest level in 5 months. Thank you so much for watching. This is Pia Krishnankutty for ThePrint. Do subscribe to ThePrint and follow us on social media.